Okay, and we are recording. So, welcome to, I guess this is episode 5 of Coffee and Charts. So, I've been doing this a little over a month and a week. This will be a month and a week. So, I figure what we're going to do since the tomorrow will be a new week, a new month, and obviously a new day. We're going to take a look at that time frame as well, the monthly, that being here in the upper right-hand corner. So I've changed the time frames a little bit so that we get a good bias of what things are shaping up to be here. So we have a quarter, the quarterly chart over here on the upper left. We have monthly chart on the upper right, and then our weekly chart in the lower left, and then our daily chart in the lower right. So again, all of this is to get a good sentiment on what we feel like is going to be happening. So figure we'll start with SPY and QQQ. That way we have a good idea on the other things that we look at then too, because where these go, the others go, because they're all pretty much an amalgamation of the same thing. Okay, so since it is a new month, April was not kind to SPY. We have a 2 down on the month, and we pretty much closed very close to the monthly low anyway. So what we have here, if I zoom in on the monthly, I've put a red line in here. When I was charting this out initially, I had my daily line, and then I looked at the weekly, and I was like, oh wait, the weekly's same, and the monthly, all the triggers would be the same for a 2 down. So if we go 2 down on the day tomorrow, we're also going to be going 2 down on the week and 2 down on the month, all in one fell swoop. So that's something to look out for. And I'll say something as well before we move much deeper, but because it is a new day, a new week, and a new month, I guess you can kind of throw out the day, but since it's a new week and a new month, one of the recommendations with the strat is to let things open. See what ends up happening. Are we going to get a bounce? That way we can see if maybe we need to change our sentiment. As it stands right now, the answer would be no. This is a pretty big red candle on the month, but you never know. We do have a place, if we look back on the weekly chart, the week of February 21st is a relative low of the same area. So 410.64 was the low that we saw back in February. So that resulted in, that was a 2 down, and it resulted in a pretty solid bounce up. So that's something to keep in mind. The low again, 410.64, that could very well be a point that we want to look out for. Just because we go below 411.21 and go 2 down on the day, the week, and the month doesn't necessarily mean we continue to drop, because this area, this guy here, remember, let me put a little line, it's going to make it hard to read, but if I put the line there, 410.64, the white line now, that is an area of a potential bounce. So just again, because price does have history, and we'll see if SPY remembers where it bounced last time. All right, so keep that in mind. 410.64, that's that relative area is a pretty solid thing to look out for. What else do we see? Well, a lot of clutter. Sorry about that. I like to do my levels on the daily because I'm, again, playing intraday things. So daily levels is where I'm at. So, the white lines are support and resistance. Anything that I feel like is important to me, I put in a different color. So in the off chance that we get a 2-2 reversal on the day, I'll zoom in here, then we're going to be looking at something over 425.87, and the first price target would be our weekly 2-2 reversal as well, then, which the entry, if you're looking at the weekly, over here on the lower left, would be over 429.64 for a move to 438.08, and then 450-ish. So again, I'm playing things on the daily, but I wanted to put these other levels in because people have kind of asked about swinging things and how that looks. So if we're looking at the daily, back in the lower right-hand corner, I've drawn some broadening formation, so we are coming to the bottom of one here. Incidentally, it does kind of turn out to be, if we do bounce off the bottom of this broadening formation, again, sentiment is not telling me that we are right now, but if we were, that does so happen to be around that 410 level that we had the previous bounce. So that's SPY. The other one is QQQ. And again, pretty much drawing it all out for you ahead of time because I know that I imagine there's going to be some questions. There was last week that we ended up having quite a bit of talk about that. So I'm trying to do a lot of this work beforehand so that we do have time to talk and answer questions. And if the video ends up being short, okay, that's fine. You know, short people don't mind a 1 hour video versus an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20. So, okay, so what do we got? On the month, we had a 2 down month, so we did a 3-2. Now, this could be the beginning of a 3-2-2 reversal, but with this, ugly red candle, that is going to be one hell of a reversal that we look at on the monthly. So, not seeing that as a positive, right? Again, sentiment right now, we closed it pretty much the monthly low, pretty darn close to it. So if I zoom in and actually scroll over here, the monthly low was 312.60. And it turns out that was the weekly low last week, and that's pretty much the low of yesterday, or Friday, the last trading day of the month as well. So if we broach 312.60, then we're going to be looking at some pretty substantial drops. So let me scroll back out here. There we go. Oh, too far. So we really have no support anymore on the monthly until we get down to this orange line here, which is 297.45. That's quite a drop. So it's already dropped a lot, right, with these big bars that we're dealing with here. But 297.45 would be the first price target on the monthly if we go 2 down. The weekly, it doesn't look much better. I mean, we're already, the other thing I want to point out, if I scroll to the left here, we're looking at support at this point. Like if we drop below 312, 310-ish area, we're looking at support that dates back from basically like last March, like 2021 March, not this one that just passed. So we're digging deep to find support at this point in time. So there we go. It's one thing I do not like about Thinkorswim, just the scrolling and zooming and things. Okay, so again, below 312.60, space this out so we can see it a little better. We have some daily targets, right? Some daily support back from March of 2021 of 311.54, 309.67, a weekly price target. So again, broaching 312.60, that is going to put us 2 down on the day, the week, and the month. So the first weekly price target would be 307.39. And then the next daily target, there was a big old bar back there. Here we go. This was the bar that the next area of support of 299.51. So that's going to be a pretty solid, $10 move almost, $8 move. So considering the moves that we've been seeing lately in a day, that's not horribly crazy. But this all can be taken out in one day. That's the crazy thing right now. With the amount of magnitude or the amount of range that we're seeing on SPY, QQQ, and pretty much a lot of the tech stocks. All right, get a sip of that coffee. All right, so as far as broadening formation goes, we broke through an existing one. I draw mine on the daily for the most part. Broke through an existing one that had dating back to 311. So that's of significance there. And then this other one that we have is from February. So dating back from February here. So I think I actually drew that one on a week, maybe. Here. Let's just do this and zoom back in. Yeah, I drew that one. No, I didn't. Drew it on daily. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this one's on the daily. So then, we're looking at that area again, potentially down there of, the 300s. So again, be on the lookout. I use SPY and QQQ every day when I'm looking at my charts. I like to see where things are going because it does give, since they are a bunch of tickers all in one, basically, it does give me a good idea of if the day's red, should I be shorting Apple? If SPY's red, should I be shorting Apple? If QQQ's green, should I be going long on something else? So that's the main reason I have SPY and QQQ pretty much always up in my charts. Okay, so now that we know what the big guys look like, let's take a look at Apple. That's the first one on the list, always is. So Apple did 3-1 on the month. So if you wanted to enter on a longer term trade, again, I don't actually do long-term trades, but if you do want to enter on a longer term trade, you're going to be playing a 3-1-2 to the downside or a 3-1-2 to the upside. Now the upside play does not have much magnitude, right? Your entry would be the high of the one bar here. So the high was 178.49, and the high, which would be your price target of the 3, so of the March month, your high was 179.61. So you're not even getting you're getting a little over $1 in magnitude there, which is not cool, pretty lame. So anyway, the 3-1-2 to the downside would be, I gotta mute somebody, hold on. Darda, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you. You can unmute yourself if you need to ask a question. All right, so then we got a 3-1-2 to the downside, entry below 155.38. I have it labeled there. Let me scroll over there so you see it better. So entry to the downside under 155.38, and your price target will be 150.38. So that has better magnitude. Again, this could be taken out in one day with Apple. The ATR is about $5, so that's pretty solid $5 move. So that is something to keep in mind. Don't overstretch your price target. If you're walking into a trade and saying I'm going to go with 150, then as my price target, then I'm going to go with 150, and that's when I'm either going to tighten my stop losses so that I don't take a loss and at least stay in profit, or I take some profit and leave a runner. Okay, so that is the monthly. The weekly, the entry is actually the same as the month, and then again your price target is going to be 150.38. So that's pretty awesome confluence there. Your weekly and monthly support are pretty much sitting at the same spot. And then as far as the daily goes, you could get in a little earlier on the daily, down in the lower right, under 157.25 for your first price target of 155.38, which is the entry then for the monthly. So, I mean, what I would do is I'd get in on the daily. I would tighten my stop losses if I hit my first price target, and that way I don't take a loss. Yeah, I mean, if we come back up and you get stopped out, it's a bummer, but you do have your monthly trigger that you could get in on and probably ride it down all in the same day. So that is Apple. Next is AMD. I have to adjust these guys on the side here so I can get through my tickers. Okay, here we go. All right, so AMD is a 1-2-2-2, 1-2-1-2-2. There we go. That's the month. So another 2 down month. The one thing that you're going to notice as I was going through these charts is a lot of the daily, weekly, and monthly triggers are all the same, or they're very close together. So that to me is kind of interesting because I like to look at levels of confluence, and I mean, these are all acting as support, right? Like if you enter on a daily and then come down, the monthly level does act as support. So if they're all the same thing, to me, that means that maybe we have I'd like to see maybe a faster break. So, or break down or break up, something, whatever the word is, the opposite of breakdown. Okay, so looking at AMD, I've been trading AMD a lot. I don't know why. It's become one of my favorite tickers. It moves nicely, and I don't know. It just moves nicely. So anyway, 2 up to if we go above 91.79, I do like the magnitude of the upside, but this is pretty much a fail 2, and it's almost a shooter candle. The real body's the body's a little big for my liking to make it a shooter, but there is definitely some pressure on the sell side. So that is how we finished Friday. Below $85.38 is going to give us a 2-2 reversal. Now that's interesting to me because again, we have a fail 2, and we have a potential 2-2 reversal. So the first price target, though, is pretty shallow. You're looking at the low of the previous 2 candle, So the low is $84.78. So you're not looking at a lot. So a lot of times what I'll end up doing just to see if I'm going to end up getting a, I'll move my price target or my entry point to the low here. But then next thing you know, you got this guy here, right? Like the next area of support. So you have some things in your way. That's what I'm telling you. And the small magnitudes I don't necessarily like. So I'd almost be waiting for the monthly trigger at this point. Like, so if tomorrow we get another 2 down and it passes through the monthly trigger to actually trigger 2 down on the month, that's when I go up here and start looking at where we could potentially be going. And the next monthly price target then is going to be this guy. So PT month, I'll go ahead and put in like yellow so it looks different. And that's going to be, $78.96. So that's definitely a better magnitude. ATR for AMD is $5. So we could, easily see 80 tomorrow. Now ATR lately has been pretty wacky on everything. So, I mean, you could say $5, but in reality, it could be more like 4, it could be 7. I mean, I'm looking at back on previous days of AMD, and there are some pretty big wick days or big candle days, but then there's also a lot of small ones. So again, price action's been a little crazy lately. But yeah, so that's AMD. Again, we got the broadening formation drawn on the daily, just like pretty much every other broadening formation I draw. So connected back, we got March 8th and the end of February. So see if that actually has some relevance. It does kind of come down to that monthly price target. So that is AMD. Again, your upside play does have a little bit more magnitude, but the sentiment I have with AMD right now, again, we have a 2 down month. We're 2 down on the quarter. We actually are at the quarter as of right now. That is let's see, the low 84.24, and we're sitting here at 84.02. So we've kind of breached the low of July of 2021. That quarter. So we're sitting there at that area right now. That's something to keep in mind. And we're also sitting there at the same area for July of 2021. So the quarter and the month. So yeah. Again, just the reason why I bring this up is because levels are important. Know your levels, know why something might be consolidating around this area, or it might have a little bit of a bounce around the area. That way, you're like, damn, I don't know why I just got, stopped out, or why it reversed on me, or things like that. Just know your levels. Okay, Bank of America, next one on the list. Went 2 down, really 2 down on the month, just like a lot of other things did. And then if we look at the day, let's see, the month, the week, and the day all have the same entry point. I didn't put them all on the same line though. But I'm going to be looking at the day because that's what I do. And I'll just mention the other ones. But so the entry on all of them is below 35.56, and we have a broadening formation. I drew this one a little tight because the Dow stocks like Bank of America, CCL, DraftKings Forward, stuff like that, they don't really move a lot. So the other broadening formation I have, as you can see, the top line here, that's way up there. So and this existing bottom line was already here as of, I guess, last week. So I added the top one here because I do kind of want to see, something oscillating a little bit. And honestly, because the Bank of America and stuff like that move so slow, getting back up here to the top of the side of the broadening formation in like the next week or so is just not likely. So yeah, anyway, that's why I drew this guy, because I do like to see oscillation, and broadening formations exist on all time frames. Okay, so we got a double 3 on the daily. That's interesting. Wow, why is it weird looking? There we go. Double 3 on the daily. So we had 2 days of range expansion. So again, I mean, what you could even do instead of using this broadening formation is just go ahead and connect some 3s together. That's always fun, but I don't like the steepness of the downside. That doesn't mean it's necessarily not applicable. I just don't like it. But we'll go back with what I originally had. So, All right, what are we gonna do now? Well, because it's a three. Now, most of the, I mean, we closed pretty close to the bottom of that three, so this could easily become a two down tomorrow, and that's probably where my head's at. I mean, we are up a little bit. I guess it went up a little bit after hours, so we'll have to see what it holds. But you do have a lot of area that you have to climb through on a slow moving ticker like Bank of America to be able to make it a two up of $37.13. So that's your price target, or I'm sorry, that's your trigger, your entry over 37.13 for a modest move to 37.54. And then you got your bigger move to 38.85. So that's the upside play. The downside, again, let's see what market sentiment holds coming into Monday morning. But things just don't look good, y'all. I keep pointing that out. You know, the quarter is red. The month ended red. And the month, the week, and the day triggers are all the same thing. So you go two down, 35.23, again, modest price target. Bigger one to shoot for would be 34.68, and then the bottom of a broadening formation. So that is going to be Bank of America. And then you got CCL. So that guy had a nice failed two up on the daily. Also had a failed two up on the monthly. And we're doing a 3-1 for the quarter, so you basically still indecision for the quarter. That's what we're getting out of this here. But so failed two. So my sentiment is solid sell. You know, shorting. So where do we get in on that guy? So let's go look at CCL. And as far as my trading strategy goes, with a small account, I look at tickers like Bank of America, CCL, DraftKings, Ford, definitely on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, because you can get weekly contracts and they're cheap. They don't cost you a lot, so you can buy 5-10 contracts and they're going to cost you $100-$200, stuff like that. So that's a way to build a small account, like a $500 account, and turn it into a $600-$700 account in a day. That's my strategy. And then I look at tech on Thursdays and Fridays. So, and then I'll play like SPY on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because those are 0 DTEs and they're relatively cheap. So, that is why I do have stocks like CCL, Bank of America, and DraftKings in my watch list. Okay, so if we do go two down on the day for CCL, that gives us our 2-2 reversal. The first price target is actually going to be the monthly entry, the monthly trigger for a 2-2 reversal as well. And then we have some moves that just kind of sliding down. Now, again, I mentioned multiple triggers because that works in our favor, right? Like when you have a trigger on a monthly, and the reason why we have these entry points is because you have orders sitting here. Might be sell orders, might be buy orders, but you have orders sitting here. So then if they automatically get executed, you have a slide, right? So, or stops get executed, you have things slide basically, or things prop up very quickly when automatic orders happen. So yeah, so then we have the monthly trigger and the weekly trigger are the same thing, monthly trigger and weekly trigger. And then again, the first price target for the week is going to be down here in the, let's see, 1684. So that's this guy, the weekly price target. Let me go ahead and label that. 1684, no, wrong one. So that's the price target weekly. And the price target monthly is way down here, 1494. So be prepared. And again, as far as where we're pulling from, we don't have to go as far back. We're looking at March lows for price support here. All right, CCL. That's now DraftKings. DraftKings been drifting into all-time lows for the last few weeks anyway, almost actually I guess since November. It's been just dropping. So it just does not look good. Now, people keep asking me what they would do with DraftKings, what price targets are. Some people use Fibonacci lines, like the retracements, so that you get some percentage levels. So if it gets the 61.8% retracement, that could be a price level for you. I just at this point go with whole numbers. So the entry for DraftKings on the daily below, there'll be a 2-2 reversal. So we did have a failed 2 up on Friday, and pretty awesome price target then of $13.06, which is also your monthly trigger for a 2 down. And then at that point, $13 is going to be an area of support, and then 12, and then 10, or 11, and then 10, so on and so forth. So that's the way I trade DraftKings. So at this point, it breaks below 13.64. I'm going to be looking at the $13 puts. Actually, now this one does actually go in 50-cent increments. So you got your 13.50s, and then your 13, your 12.50s, and your 12. So again, look at the open interest, look at the volume. That way you know that if you're getting into the 13s right now, well, there isn't a lot of volume on them. I mean, maybe you're getting in early, but I'd probably be looking at where the open interest is at as well. So yeah, you can go in 50-cent increments with DraftKings. All right. Okay, moving on to Ford. Ford's 2-1 on the day, so let's see what Monday holds. Could we go 2-1-2 down or 2-1-2 up? Again, where's your sentiment at? We look at the weekly, it's a 2 down. We look at the monthly, 2 down. We look at the quarter, 2 down. Now we are coming up to a quarter price target, if we haven't already, 13.89 and 13.90. So 1 penny away from hitting the quarterly low, or previous quarter low. So things to keep in mind. Do we see maybe a potential little bit of a bounce before we have a more drop? It's really going to depend on who says what with the stock in regards to the stock market and the economy, I think. But there really isn't a lot of good news as of right now, so I don't see things changing. All right, sorry, drink some coffee. All right. So entry on the 2-1-2 down under 14.10, and then your price target would be the first guy here, 13.90, and then again that's your monthly trigger. Now, in the event that we do go upside, 2-1-2 up, your price target here isn't that great. It's the high of the 2 candle that started this whole 2-1-2 pattern. So 14.99. So you get a whole 2 cents out of that baby. So then, like I said, I'm not even looking at a long play to the upside until I think it gets over $15. That would be what I'd start looking at then. But then you do have this this resistance here that is actually a pivot machine gun. So we could see a potential takeout of all of these, highs for a move back to the upside. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now, what you're looking for is a reversal if it goes that way. You're not going to be looking for, obviously a 2-1-2 down, but you'd be looking for like a 2-1-2 up reversal or a 2-2 reversal that's just going to like take a bunch of stops out very quickly. Next on the list is Facebook. Now, wow, when I did Facebook, it was a little overwhelming for me because there were a lot of gap fills. So on the daily, it was a fail 2. This is post earnings, right? So we gapped up because of earnings. Now we have a fail 2. So if we do a 2-2 reversal, because this is a 2 up, we do 2-2 reversal to the downside under 199.90. We have a price target of 192.90, but then there is a gap fill all the way down to 181.21. So the downside play is definitely where I'm looking because there just isn't a lot of support sitting here. What was interesting to me when I was looking at this is this broadening formation that has been drawn. I mean, connected points from like March and February, and I mean, I don't know how you can like predict earnings with a broadening formation, but like, I mean, the fact is it came right down here to this also liquidity zone that I've added to the list here because of this particular candle with a massive bounce. But I mean, that's, I don't know. I look at broadening formation sometimes and say, wow, just this is craziness. The fact that sometimes they're more often than not very correct as far as where bounces occur. Okay, so again, I'm looking at things from the downside perspective. If you do want to go to the upside, you'd be looking at a 2-2 continuation. And again, look at what market sentiment's doing, but you do have a lot of resistance areas in your way. So that is something to keep in mind. Then you got the monthly. So we did 3 on the month. So then you'd be looking at a 3-2 up or 3-2 down if you're playing something a longer term time frame. And as far as your monthly target goes, I'm gonna have to zoom out for that one. You're gonna be looking at 158. Oh, I'm sorry, totally wrong. Why is that happening? It's like I've come to find that for some reason Thinkorswim does not like rectangle boxes because then you lose your drawing tool. So this would be your monthly price target. Go ahead and make it yellow. There you go. So that's your entry would be 169. Your price target would be 150.83 if you are going to play a longer time frame. And then on the weekly, entry is actually the same as the month, 169. And your price target is going to be 158.51, so a little bit above the this will be your weekly here. So a little bit above the monthly, but those are levels that are pretty key. Definitely want to know where they're at. Okay, so Facebook, Microsoft did it's a 3-1 on the month. So either way, it's kind of a bummer of a play if you're going to look at the monthly because there isn't a lot of magnitude, right? Our entry would be the higher low of the one candle, so the previous month, but then our price target is going to be the higher low of the previous month, so March. Either way, there just is not a lot of magnitude on either side of the play. So monthly, not very interested until we get over the 3 bar. But if we did somehow do that, then we'd pretty much be taking the quarter up. I mean, it's still a 1 on the quarter, 1 bar on the quarter, but we'd be taking the quarter to the top side then. So that would be an interesting move because then to me that means that clearly market sentiment has shifted and things are going back into the upside. So now on the daily, we have a potential for a 2-2 reversal. 2 to the downside is where I'm at with a move to 270. That is what I'd be looking at for Microsoft. Coming to the bottom of a broadening formation as well, just like everything else is. So buyer beware. Wish I had some more variance in these, as far as downside or upside, but it's actually, I mean, all tech moves the same, just different magnitudes, right? Dow seems to move the same, like everything moves the same, so it's kind of a bummer. All right, so MU, another one that I've been trading a lot lately. 2 down on the month, so this one actually had a little bit of a bounce. There's a level of a liquidity area that I have drawn here down in the 166 range. So reason being is if we look back on the weekly, we had a pretty solid bounce area back in October, and it moved up. So I've my thought pattern is that there are some there's some stop losses sitting here. So now we trigger them coming down in the zone, and then we see a bounce. Now with a failed 2 on the day, downside play 68. Under 68 for a move to 65, 67-ish. So, I'm sorry, with a move to, how I missed that line, 67. So, a dollar move basically with MU as a potential 2-2 reversal for your first price target, and then the next one will be down here for the back into that liquidity zone around the 66 area. So something to keep out for. This is definitely a fail 2 with a shooter. So I again only look at this as a downside play. If we do somehow go to the top side, the 2 up would be over 71.33 for a move to 74.49. Neo over here. So Neo is a fail 2 on the month. So again, what does that mean? Well, I'm looking at a 2-2 reversal now. So the 2-2 reversal is going to be happening. Let me go down to the daily because it's easier to expand that and show the lines. The 2-2 reversal is going to be happening under 1591. Now, where do we go from there? Well, the price target for the month is $13. I know it says 1301, but things like even numbers, there is a liquidity zone sitting down there between like $13.50 and $13 as well from a previous bounce back in. That's the weekly. So, nope. Yeah, I don't know where I drew. Oh, here we go. From previous balance back in March. So how did I pass by that so quick? Wow. Okay. So anyway, that is an interesting and intriguing play to me. We're also at the bottom of a broadening formation. So let's see what that holds. You could also end up, changing the trajectory of that broadening formation a little bit, but I don't think it's going to change it enough to, drop down all the way to $13 to, just give you a pretty picture. But again, the broadening formations are there just as guidelines, not really like hard set, rules, and things can expand outside of a broadening formation and come back in. So anyway, again, the sentiment is going to be a 2-2 reversal for me to the downside. The first trigger or the first price target would be the monthly trigger to further downside. So you do have the potential to be able to ride this baby, for a good $3 or $2.40 30-cent move. Now we already looked at QQQ and SPY, so that's actually going to wrap up my watch list. The other thing that I was going to take a look at in the monthly channel, the 1 month channel, there was another 3-1 that was intriguing to me, and I know somebody in the Discord sits here and writes calls for AMC all day long just to recoup money. But so AMC's 3-1 on the month. So why is that interesting to me? Well, to me, and I don't actually have much support of this, but to me, you have the summer coming up, right? So what does that mean for earnings and AMC? I really have no idea anymore because AMC moves with the apes, not with the actual cyclical things that stocks used to move with. So anyway, I look at summertime as the time when people go to the movies. So it's always an interesting stock to me anyway. But so as far as price levels go, your entry on the upside would be over 25.28. Your entry on the downside would be 14.70, and downside does have a little bit of a move to $12.90. The upside has the bigger move to $34.33. So the setup on the month actually doesn't look that bad. I always like 3-1. So what you're going to be looking for is a 2 up or a 2 down. And the main reason we like 3-1s in the strat is because of the potential magnitude that you have. When you look at the 3-1 like Apple had on the month, that really didn't look all that great because Microsoft it was. The magnitude just didn't look all that awesome because there was no. I mean, the one bar was so big, kind of like this downside play here. But if we do, and you can, if I were to drag this out, this low of the 3 here, you can see that there's a level of significance here, right? Like we came down, we bounced, and we have now kind of consolidated around this same, 129 or 1290 level. And, the next price target then, if we were to drop, would be $8.93. That'd be your actual next area of support if we do fail this area here. And then that takes us back to 2021, and at that point we're kind of sitting where AMC was before the apes jumped in and started pushing it up. Other things on the list, I do want to just point out some of the failed twos that we had here. They don't look all that great as far as these are all by the monthly, because the bot does on the last day of the month the monthly setups. I don't know if you've looked in the monthly channel yet in the strat alert section, but anyway, the failed two section always interesting in there. So failed two on cat, failed two on CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, fail 2 on the Diamonds, fail 2 on Oracle, fail 2 on Oxy, fail 2 on PFE, Pfizer, fail 2 on X, which is the US Steel, fail 2 on XLE for energy, and a fail 2 on XLU. Now, what does that mean? I'd be looking at 2-2 reversals on everything I just listed. And I mean, taking XLU as an example, your entry would be under 71.15 for your price target of 66.83. Now, the X's are pretty cool because they're not horribly expensive if you did want to take, the May 22 contracts, the monthlies. So again, market sentiment not looking good, failed 2, downside, monthly entry, weekly entry would be the same, and the daily entry would all be the same for XLU, XLE, pretty much all of those that I just listed, to be honest. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So anyway, that really is what I wanted to point out there. So the weeklies, the bot spits those out Friday after hours. The monthly, the bot spits those out on the last day of the month. So that was yesterday that they came out. And then we have our daily, obviously, at the end of the day, and the intraday stuff, the 15, the 1 hour, or the 15, the 30, and the 1 hour. Okay, so with that being said, I'll open things up for questions now. The first one is, do you ever trade Bitcoin options? I don't. As close to Bitcoin with options that I've ever gotten was like trading Mara or Riot, and that was about it. I do own crypto. I'll buy like the actual underlying, Ethereum or Bitcoin, but I don't trade the options. Any other questions? Sweet, you guys are quiet today. Not too shabby. Okay, so I'll sum it up with this. When you are looking at your favorite tickers, at this point, because we are going into a new month, you want to take a look at your sentiment, right? Like, how did we finish the previous month? Chances are it's going to be red. That's, highly likely. So take a look at the quarter. Take a look at the week. Take a look at your price targets. I mean, this is the exercise I go through every night when I'm looking at my small watch list that we go over on Sundays. And, when there are, if you want to look at things, then we can. So, somebody said something. We've been taking PLTR. Let's take a look at that guy. So, PLTR. Yep, so sentiment for the quarter, we've almost triggered 2 down on the quarter. Almost triggered 2. So that is definitely a failed 2. Why are my numbers not on here? I mean, it was a failed. That's a failed 2 up. So it's almost 2 down there, but almost went 3 on the month. So yeah, I'd definitely be looking at going short on PLTR. This actually, wow, remove that. So this 1027 area is pretty significant. Like the 1020, between 1027 and 1023 since the low of November of 2020. But then you got, you know, your further drop with a lot more of, actually, I guess that's when PLTR IPO'd. So, yeah, like, I mean, $8.90, that's pretty much back, that's all-time lows at that point if we pass that. There's a Bitcoin ETF called BITO, and it has an option chain. Let's see. Sure does, and it's not too bad. Oh, Pro Shares, yeah. That's cool. Learned something new today. Thanks, Darda. Something to look at. BITO. What are we looking at here? All right, well, so you got a 2 and a 1. Downside, not much for the initial entry on the month. So let's see, like a 23 put would be what? 60 cents, not bad. Yeah, that's not a bad price at all. I have to keep that one in mind. Look at it from time to time. Do you follow the 3-bar plays? Smart Trade has been sharing about his chat. If so, could we do a quick walkthrough of the concept? Yep, okay. Smart is not on here, so I will, I guess, talk about that. Okay, so without trying to butcher this too bad, him and I have talked about it a little bit, but what he's basically doing is playing the, I'm trying to think of one. Has he posted one in the watch list channel? Let's see what he put in. Okay, so let's look at one that he had actually, that we both had on what, Friday? Yeah, okay. So CCL, we've already kind of gone over it, but it's cool. So what his theory is, I take that back. Let me find one that doesn't have lines all in it. Chewy. I can clear that out. Okay, so if we take the 3-bar that we had on Friday on Chewy, or I'm sorry, Thursday on Chewy, right? We're looking at the 3-bar on 428. So we're looking at the break. So we want to see a break to one side or the other, because the thought is that the magnitude or the actual breakdown ends up being a big breakdown. Right, so he says a break below 29.05 goes short, then you're going to be looking at 26.39, 24.65. So let me go to like just actually label out these price targets so that we have an idea here. If I can find them, good God. So we said 26.39. Where's 26? There we go. So we'll just go with those two price targets there. Okay. And then he says a break above, we're going to be looking at, and just again, like your standard price targets. So make these different colors so we can differentiate. Again, we go in long on that side, and we go short on this side. All right. So the theory is that the next candle, if it ends up being a 2 down, would be aggressive and go to like the first price target of 26.39. The other option is that if it's an aggressive candle up, it would move to the next price target of 34.65. So, I mean, it's working out for him, and I mean it seems to be working out for him. But what he likes to really do, he was telling me, is like look at it on Tesla. He was saying the 3 bars on Tesla seem to really be working out in his favor if they end up doing a 2 up or 2 down. Um, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, okay, so like that guy. So he would have entered on the break of the break of 1,014.92, and his first price target would have been 1,026.24. Crazy thing about Tesla is like that move is not too bad in terms of Tesla, but it's also pretty shallow. So I don't trade Tesla, but yeah. So I mean that's literally it. He's front loading like a 3-2-2. That's really what it is to me. And I think I'll probably talk to him and try to get him to explain it a little bit more, at least his mentality behind it. I know he posts the stuff in the watch list channel, and it does seem to be working out for him. We talk about it from time to time. I'm gonna change the bot up so at least not change the bot up. I'm gonna add a setup to the bot so we can at least see 3 bars as they finish, like on a day, on an hour, on a 30-minute, on a 15-minute, pretty much all the time frames. So we'll see 3 bars at that point, so then you get your idea of entry or exit. So I mean it's not, playing a 3 bar isn't technically an actionable strat setup, but I think there's an underlying strategy that I haven't exactly picked up there yet that he's doing. Yep, no problem. Any other questions? I mean, we might actually keep this one to an hour. That's a first. Okay, well, with that being said then, like I always say, oh, somebody's typing. What do we got, Crown? Spotlight's on you. Oh, good morning. So yeah, as I always say, keep your stop losses tight. Make sure you have your levels in play. You go in with a plan. I wrote some things down on my board because I have to remind myself from time to time, and I think it's good for everybody else too. But to do so, right? Have yourself a little mantra. Oh, I think they mean General Motors. Oh, that makes sense too. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, Crowdfit type in GM. I think it's saying good morning. Oh goodness. Okay. General Motors. So 3-1. That is on the daily. We have a little bit of a move up to the upside of 39.61. After your entry of 39.42 for upside play. Downside 37.78 to 37.31. Now that's not too great, but what we are seeing right now with GM is, I'm gonna just connect these two here, and I guess I could connect those, but those are kind of lame. Zoom out. Go away thing. Is that there? Aggressive upside. See what that guy does. So I'll draw a couple. Barely a broadening formation. Anyway, so yeah, GM. So my thought, you got your 2 down on the month, probably another 2 down incoming under 37.31. 2 down on the week. Really played well into that failed 2 shooter previous week. Hit the price target, exceeded it, hit the next price target. And yeah, so where do we go below 37.31 is a question that I have. Let's do this. 37.31. Let's extend that to the left. So we got like 37 even, let's call it, and then, oh, come on. $37 even, and then 35, 34. So gonna have to see what that one holds in store. But again, sentiment is not looking pretty. Keep that in mind as we sit here and look at whether we want to go long or short on things. Again, in order to go long on anything, I'm going to want to see a significant reversal, probably at this point on a month. I'll give a week. I'll start a week, right? If we see a nice, 2-2 reversal on the week, but this guy right here kind of makes me gun shy, right? Like, and I think you're going to see this on a lot of tickers, but a fail 2 on the week. So that would have been a pretty solid like 2-1-2 reversal. Oh, is that reversal happening? Well, all it did was pretty much tap the previous high on 4-4, and you said no, sir. We're not going to be reversing right now. So I'd be wanting to see like a 2-2 reversal on the month now before I started looking at things from a long perspective. That's GM, and we already did AMC. And good morning to you as well. Okay, so what I was saying is I've written some things on my board. I think they're really important. I like to say them to me every day myself. So the first one is I'm not going to trade with emotion. I did that actually last week, and it cleaned my clock pretty well. That was a nice reminder that sometimes you do get emotional. So by writing it down, it helps me be a little bit more accountable to myself. I try to help you all out, be accountable, by asking you how you're doing at the end of your trading day. And, do you log your trades? Do you write your things down? Do you reassess why things went wrong? Stuff like that. That's those are good things to be doing, good things to practice every day. The other one is I will not be greedy. We have talks time and time again, about missing out on the bigger drop. But to me, the saying that I always use is green is green. Like if you walk out with more than you walk in with, that's a good day. Think of it like a Vegas casino. Like I walk in with, $1,000 and I walk out with 1,010. That means I had how many hours of fun, but I walked away with 10 extra bucks. They paid me to have fun. So yeah, green is green. Keep that in mind when you're trading. Don't be greedy. Set your price targets. Get out then or trim. Set your stop losses. Set them tighter after that. That's one of my favorite things to do, right? Like set a stop loss, and then if I'm in profit and I hit my price target, I'll trim some, and then I'll set a tighter stop loss. So that way I'm still in profit, and maybe the trade goes down further. If it's giving me indication that it's going to go down further, then I'm definitely just going to tighten my stop losses and stay in a trade, at least keep a runner. But just, don't be greedy. Okay. Well, with that being said, that's going to wrap up episode 5 of Coffee and Charts. Kept it right to an hour. So thank you for all your help, and happy trading.